Hi, this is Marnie Pehrson and Sue Painter, and we're back with the online business reality show, Marnie and Sue's Peep Show, where we pull back the curtain and let you see behind our lives and our businesses. And this is a special NAMS edition. We're at NAMS in Atlanta.
And we are pre-recording this. We normally come to you live, but we've had so many things that we want to talk to you about how to attend a live event, what to get out of it, whether to buy what is offered there. All sorts of things have been on our minds. So we decided we'd go ahead and do a special edition and make episode 3 a recorded edition. We'll be back to our live editions next week. So Marnie, let's first talk about live events, and do you have to go to every single session?
You know, the first time I came to NAMS, I tried to go to every single session, and I got so overwhelmed, so brain-logged. And then the next time I came, I started to realize the big perk to it is really networking and getting to know other people. So I started to just hand-pick the classes and then go to networking with people the rest of the time.
Yeah, one of the things that's really neat about NAMS anyway is that it's developed in 4 levels from beginner to advanced. And Marnie and I are at the advanced level. You might not be if you decide to come to a NAMS, but the thing about it is most of us who work in online marketing, we're used to working by ourselves. So it's easy for us to get like information overload easily. So I look at the agenda and I pick and choose the people who either I've heard them before and they're really good and I want to hear them again, or I've heard them before and they're not very good and I don't want to hear them again, or they're new to me and the topic is really interesting, which means if you're doing a presentation to a conference, make sure that your title is completely compelling about what it is you're offering, because that's how we decide whether to attend or not.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of information overload, I think in some of the presentations that we've seen as we've been here, some of them are very information packed, but they're not always packed with the most helpful information, right?
Right. I attended one, and I don't know, Marnie, if you were in the same one. I think maybe you were, or maybe you're talking about another one. I attended one where it's like this internationally known expert, and he could give us lots and lots of examples of what he has accomplished, all of which is super. But he kept saying in the 1.5-hour session, I'm going to get to showing you exactly how I did it, and 10 minutes before the 1.5 hours were over, he still hadn't really told us how did he get this stuff. So we like it, Marnie and I like it, when we go somewhere and they talk about what they've accomplished and then show us how, the nuts and bolts of how they accomplished it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then some others, they have a lot of information. They've got a mix of examples and information, but they talk so fast that you can't process it. You know, maybe I'm a Southern girl and I just think slow, I think Southern, I talk Southern, I don't know, but do you ever experience that?
I do. Actually, there were a couple of people here who, you know, they were speaking so quickly and they were not they kind of had what I call mush mic, and it was hard for me to understand. I thought maybe I was losing my hearing, but come to find out everybody was having trouble understanding them. So you do have to speak at a little bit slower pace, and yes, I do have a Southern accent, and I'm also from the South, but we're both plenty smart, and when you talk so fast we can't even, you know, understand what you're saying, it doesn't do any good. So that's another thing that's kind of a no-no for us. And then I guess we also want to talk a little bit about, often when you come to these events, you have to understand that the instructors are world-class, they're very good at what they do, they pay their own way to get here, they do not get paid to speak, and so of course sometime in their presentation they're going to make an offer to you for one of their products and services, which is understandable because they need to make a return on their investment of time. So we have listened this week to 3 or 4, in those sessions we've been in, 3 or 4 different pitches of products and services, and I've heard some and Marnie's heard some. Not, I mean, we may have heard 1 or 2 that were the same, but we've heard different ones because we've been in different sessions. So we thought we'd tell you a little bit, we'd like pull back the curtain on what makes us decide to say, yes, we'll buy it, or no, we don't.
Right. So. Yeah. So one thing that I look for is that they give me something that I might not have thought about before, and I have like an aha moment. Yeah. And that makes me realize, okay, these people are giving me valuable information, and if I got this just out of this free little, you know, intro class, then they're going to be able to teach me more on the back end, but they haven't had time to. And there was a really good class that did that, where I was like, oh, huge epiphany while I'm in the class. And so that's something I look for to decide if I'm going to purchase a program.
Right. And there are a couple of things that I look for when I decide not to purchase a program. Like Marnie, I look for, is this something that's going to teach me something that's really valuable that I'm not doing in my business, that's going to help me either create more traffic to list build, or to help sell my products and services. Because I know a lot about what I'm doing, so I have to have something that's going to teach me over and above what I already know. Well, if the presentation itself isn't exactly a good teaching model, then I'm of the mind that the product might not be very good instructional design either. It might not be very well put together, and it might be kind of jumbled and not structured well, just like their speech was not structured very well or was kind of jumbled. So that's one thing I look for.
Yeah, definitely the organization of it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I look for too is, you know, if somebody says, okay, this is the offer, and then they have bonus after bonus after bonus after bonus after bonus, and the bonuses are worth $3,000 and the product is worth $3,000, but you can get the whole thing today for $297, I'm skeptical. How about you?
Yeah, it makes you think, okay. Well, and I get information overload. I'd rather have less is more. You know, just keep it simple, give me the key nuggets, and don't overwhelm me with a whole bunch of extra information.
Yeah, sometimes the bonuses that are offered are really not that useful. They may not even be related to the product or the service that's being sold. And I really probably will never get to understanding, listening to, or watching 10 bonuses or 8 bonuses. I really only want what is in the product. Now, another thing that I like that makes me more apt to buy it is if there is something that will give me access to them for like a question and answer session for a time or two, so that if I buy something and I'm implementing it in my business and I get stuck, I have access to them in some kind of a group call to do some kind of Q&A. Do you like that too, Mike?
Yeah, I like that a lot, where I can apply it to my own situation, because I've always got some new idea I want to run by, you know, okay, I got this idea, will you help me with that?
Yeah.
And one of the instructors was really nice to help me with that today. I had a kind of an aha moment. I came up to him afterwards, and he brainstormed with me a little bit on that. So I really appreciate instructors that are approachable and make you feel like you're a person and you matter.
And then they're probably going to be more approachable with their product. And then the one thing too that I'm really cautious about, and Marnie, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit before, sometimes you buy a product, and the truth of the matter is you have a very similar product already on your hard drive that you've bought and you've downloaded and you have never used. And there's not a single person in the online marketing world who's not guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. Are you guilty of that?
Somewhat.
So, and I mean, the only person I know who really buys and then sits and implements every single thing, Lynn Terry does that. She's really good about buying it and going through and implementing right then and there. And so if you really think, I've bought 3 or 4 products lately and I haven't implemented any of them, and you don't even really know what's in them, then why are you going to spend, you know, $97 or $297 or $497 on another product when you haven't even gotten to the ones on your hard drive? And really 99.9% of people who are in our field are guilty of that. So that's one of our other tips for whether we would pop for someone's pitch at a conference or not. Yeah?
I think that's it.
Yeah. What else can we talk about today?
Let's see.
I guess I want to talk a little bit about how valuable it is to have people that you see at a live event over and over and over again as the years go by, that you come to know them. Actually, NAMS is how I got to know Marnie and how she got to know me. And so, you know, sitting out in the lobby and saying, what do you think about this? Or have you tried this? Or I'm really thinking about, you know, how I can do this in my business. It seems like you can get all kinds of really great information. And like, we were at lunch, my husband Bill and I were at lunch the other day, and a guy we've seen at NAMS a couple of times came and sat down to say hi and catch up. And he was like, this is what I need. And Christine Cobb was sitting at the table with us, so she was like, oh, I can tell you how to do that. In 5 minutes, he had an answer that he probably would have gone and paid some consultant $1,000 for. So that's really the beauty and the value to me of coming to a conference over and over again, where I get to know people and I know what their expertise is. Yeah.
I watched something cool happen today. I watched a friend of mine get a client, and what she did was there was an instructor who hadn't taken care of his affiliate link on the back end of his presentation, and he realized that like at the last minute right before his presentation, and she's a VA. So she jumped in, fixed his problem, helped him with it, just jumped in, and in the middle of his presentation somebody asked a question, and he said her name and said, "You're hired, go talk to her." And he hired her right on the spot because she was willing to step outside of her comfort zone and help him in a problem like that.
Yeah.
And she made a point to me that she won't work with clients that she hasn't met face to face. She won't even take them on anymore because there's personality dynamics. So if you're the type of a service-based business where you really have to deal with people's personalities and stuff, it's good to meet them in person, and live events are really good for that.
Yeah, live events are good for that. So do you want to talk a little bit about client attraction?
Well, yeah, we could. I mean, I think that was a piece of it, that she was just willing to step out. Your personality is a big part of client attraction, I think, letting it come out and not holding that back, and being willing to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. It is really, I mean, we get questions a lot, how do you attract clients, because everybody can use more business, or maybe not everybody, but most people can use more business. And there is a point where you want to show your expertise and what it is that you do well, what it is that you know. And then there's also a point where you want to let people get to know you and kind of your personality and your style. And for me, as somebody who works as a business strategist for other people's businesses, I want them to know that I'm pretty much a straight shooter, and that I'm a fast implementer, and that I don't really like a whole lot of excuses when I work with people. It's like, do you really want to build this? I can show you how, but if you're going to let everything in the world come first, and you're going to be kind of a hobbyist rather than a business person, you're not a good match for me. And I don't mind that coming out in my personality, because I get further faster with clients who are implementers, and I really will do anything and everything to help them be successful. So I think letting your personality show can be a good thing. You don't want to seem one way in your copy and in your marketing materials, and then in fact you're another way in real life.
Right. Yeah. And there's something as well, and I was thinking about this earlier, about the way you interact with the people who approach you, in that you're not like jumping on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of look at them like a little butterfly that's landing on your hand. You don't just suddenly go, grab them by the wings and so just kind of cultivating those relationships. Going back to the friend I was watching, she actually started that relationship last year at NAMS, and then the man sought her out because he knew what she did, know. And so you kind of have to plant some seeds. Sometimes it takes a little bit to grow a little bit. And anyway.
Yeah. Nobody likes kind of the desperation thing. Yeah. I don't like to go to a live event and be talking to somebody, and while I'm talking to them, I see them looking over my head to see who else might be coming that they could talk to. That just seems so totally rude to me, and they're not listening. They really wouldn't know whether I was going to say, oh, I'd like to hire you for something or not. So it's really like staying present and grounded right in the moment, and letting people come toward you and watching that and being helpful when you can, and then seeing what comes of that relationship. It's not, everybody can smell desperation a mile away. Yeah. And desperation doesn't ever gain you clients, or at least that's my version of it.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So are we done, or is there anything else we want to bring to them from NAMS? Are we done?
I think we're good.
Okay. So this is Sue and Marnie from the Marnie and Sue Peep Show signing off. We will get this out to all of you who are on our list, and we will see you again live next week. So goodbye from Atlanta. Bye.
Bye-bye.